highest level than Ishmael. What a pathetic thing.
It is a very important point. I think it's very important. God bless him. God bless him. He could have surpassed Isaac Avinu.
Yeah. He was blessed.
Yes.
By he Elohim et Tanah.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
He could surpass Isaac Avinu. He could have surpassed everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
And this, I think, is the greatness of Sara. I think this is the greatness of Sara. We have Parashat Hayesara, right? Parashat Hayesara doesn't seem to speak about Sara Imenu. But you Hayesara doesn't seem to speak about it, but the truth is it does. Hayesara, or Sara, stood for the following proposition. We see this with Ishmael. En somchim al hanes. You're a parent, it's your responsibility to make sure that your child is raised properly, to make sure that you give the proper discipline, that you give the proper values. You can't rely on things just happening. Meaning, even Abraham Avinu, who was blessed by Hashem, who Hashem promises him, Sara says, get this guy out of my place. But wait, Sara, didn't Hashem bless us and he told us, Yitzhak, and what's the problem? So what's the issue? So I think this is the brilliance of Sara. Yes, Hashem blessed us. Yes, Hashem gave us Yitzhak, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, all these blessings from Hashem, promises, but you can squander it. You can ruin it all. How does this have to do with Hayesara? Because Hayesara is one of the most strangest parashiyot. You have a long speech of Damesik Eliezer, not just what he's thinking, but what he's saying, and what he's thinking, and what he's saying. And the whole parasha is almost a series of Damesik Eliezer, what he's thinking, what he's saying. What do we learn from his speech? We learn that you can be the Eved of Abraham, all the money in the world, Hashem on your side, and Damesik Eliezer is worried with every single word. He tells Hashem, please help me. Then after he tells Hashem, please help me find her, he sees her. He tells her the right things. He gives her the gifts. He puts the semidim on her arms. He goes to the family. He gives them gifts. Then they're about to eat. We're not eating till I say what I want to say. What are you being so hysterical about? Hashem help you. You got the girl. She's here. It's obvious it's from Me'ah Shamayim. So that's it. Enjoy the meal. No, I'm not enjoying the meal. Before we eat, I want to have something to say. And every word he says is calculated. Every thought he thinks is precise. Then they come back to him. Yes, we'll do it. You think the Damesik Eliezer was hysterical? He was overly cautious? What happens the next morning? Let her stay for a few more days with her. Well, why don't you go back to Abraham? We'll send her later. And so, you're a parent. You have Yitzhak, he's 40 years old, make sure he marries the right person. And this whole attitude that we see in the Damesik Eliezer, that comes from Sara.
Exactly.
That's the point of Sara Imenu. You're a parent, don't say Hashem blessed me and this and that, and therefore it's
How do you know this?
because Sara Imenu.
Yes, no, but how do you know this? Damesik. What does it mean, Damesik?
I know from you, but
yes, probably. Damesik is the word Damesik.
Right.
But domestic is a word that penetrated the English vocabulary. Domestic.
Right.
Domestic is from the house.
Right.
Domestic is he learned. In other words, domesticate. Yes, what does it mean to domesticate something? Domicile.
Right.
Yes. All this has to do with the house. Domestic Eliezer. It was Eliezer from domestic, from the home. He learned this from Sara.
Right.
Because she was domestic. So the domestic means
domesticated.
Domesticated. Domicile, all these words,
right.
Yes, come from the word domestic, which means a home, a house. The word Damascus of Syria
right.
must have been the home of the but domestic means home,
right.
domicile,
right.
domicile,
right.
your address.
Right.
Yes. And that's why domestic Eliezer tells you a lot. He was Eliezer, domesticated Eliezer.
Right.
Yes. He was a domesticated person.
Right.
And this you could learn only from the home, which is Sara Imenu.
Right. Right. So I
So
feel,
the Sara,
yeah.
Hayya Sara and the Mesek Eliezer go hand in hand.
right,
And that's what Sara, and that's why Abraham Avinu sent the Mesek Eliezer to find a wife for his son.
right.
Yes.
So there's
So
so
I
much,
have one more thing. And therefore, in a sense, the Mesek Eliezer is a Talmid of Sara and men. Hayya Sara.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I think that the story of Parashat Hayye Sara is a tribute to Sara Imenu, and that starts in this week's parasha, where you see Sara, she's being, and Abraham doesn't understand it. What's the issue? Hashem gave us Yitzchak, He promised us in Berith and Abetarim, what's the problem? And she says, he's your son, and you're responsible for his upbringing. Yitzchak is your son. Get the other part, get the bum out of here. And then Abraham Avinu says, Kol asher tomar elecha Sara,
That's what who said.
Shema, Hashem tells Abraham Avinu, Kol asher tomar elecha Sara, Shema bekolah. She's right. You have a responsibility. It's true, I will help. But you can't just sit down and do nothing. It doesn't know. You're a parent, take care of your child. I think that's a fantastic, fantastic message. In the
Very good,
Hashem.
yes. It's and that's why interesting thing. I mentioned this in one of the footnotes in my book. Is that the malach comes and teaches the child in the mother wombs. It means that has to do with the mother.
Right.
That's why you say how you can marry and go, yeah. Because the malach is not going to enter into the thing of this. And this is a fantastic idea. That the malach comes, enters, Sreha into the womb of the woman, of the mother. Yes? And that's why so the relationship between Shema Beni Musar Avicha, which is intellectual, now that you're studying this, don't forget, don't abandon what you learned in your mother's womb.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right.
So it means don't abandon that. I say, well, I have Musar, I know intellectually, yes, but it was not the matter.
Right.
It's
And this is what happened with David and Avshalom. That Avshalom,
yes.
we don't know a lot about the relationship between him and David, and we know, of course, that David loved him and so on, but it just says one important thing. Velo si'aro aviv me'olam. He never, ever disciplined his son, Avshalom. And look what happens to him. He had the world, he was incredibly handsome, highly intelligent, charismatic.
The Shalom Amelech.
No question. He was able to get the people on his side against David when David was alive. I mean, look at the charisma of this person. And he ended up getting hung on a tree. Why? So here we see again that a Jewish parent has an obligation to take care of their children, to raise their children, and to make sure that their children are not exposed to things that can destroy them.
But there is another point, to your point. You can't imagine a nicer home then than the home of David HaMelech.
Right. Right.
What could be greater than that?
Right.
And yet, if the child is left unsupervised, look what happened to Absalom, wanted to kill his father.
Right. Horrible.
It's horrible. And Saliha, what is interesting is that this is the only case that we have in the entire Tanakh of a child wanted to kill his father. And look at his name, Al Shalom. In the word Al, in the word Shalom, is this. And these appearances and names don't mean much. It's a very profound Musar. Al Shalom.
Right. Right. Let's end with one thought that I have.
Yeah.
You have in this parasha, you have Abimelech, the king, the Jewish king.
So, is there any relationship between Abimelech and Absalom? Think about it. The name, Abimelech, for example.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Although with Avshalom, I would say that the answer to Avshalom was Shelomo, meaning Avshalom was the father of Shalom. Probably David HaMelech had him in mind to be the king. But then comes instead Shelomo, like Shalom, Shelomo, Avshalom, Melech Shalom, Shalom. Didn't work out. But Abimelech is a name that I always thought about. because when I was young, I used to get confused between the name Avimelech and Elimelech from.
Yeah.
But it's very easy to remember because there's a fundamental difference between Avimelech and Elimelech. As similar as the words are, the meanings are opposite. Avimelech means my father is the king, hierarchy. I'm king because my father is king, Avimelech, and I'm going to have a son called Avimelech. And then he calls Avimelech. So this is the ultimate vertical society where I am born as a king and you're all my subjects. Elimelech is the exact opposite. My God is my king, right? Ol Malchut Shamayim. So I always thought it's nice to see the difference in the Jewish name and the pagan name. The pagan name is vertical society. I'm the king, and that's why am I king? Because my father was king. Avimelech, so I'm king. Elimelech, no.
Very nice.
I have a God. God is my king.
Eloheinu melech haolam.
Yes, exactly.
Eloheinu melech haolam is Elimelech.
Yes, I thought that was a nice.
Very, very
All right.
good. Esther!